Good evening and welcome to QUT News. Queensland unions have intensified their fight against the government's bid to sell off public assets with the launch of a new advertising campaign. It coincides with the state government launching its own media blitz to promote the privatisation plans. Long-suffering asbestos victims have been dealt a fresh blow after learning their compensation fund is drying up. It looks like asbestos sufferers may have to have their compensation paid in instalments or deferred. Australia has taken a 1-0 lead in the 7-match one-day series against India, but the narrow victory was soured with injury concerns over Brett Lee and James Hopes. Good evening, time to take a look at the weather. This morning's warm conditions were overshadowed by a bleaker outlook, with isolated rain moving into much of the region. From the Skycam, we can see how the day started nice and fine in Brisbane, but with the build-up of cloud, we saw showers by lunchtime and again throughout the afternoon. A look now at temperatures for the southeast, where that cloud cover brought light rain and lower temperatures with a top of 27 degrees across most of the region. The satellite picture shows the cloud that brought rain to much of the southeast is still hovering above Queensland's central west. Most of the nation is clear, but storms are likely in the ACT. Around the nation tomorrow, and wet conditions continue across the east coast. Mostly fine conditions are predicted for Adelaide and Perth, with late storms in Canberra and Darwin. The forecast for Queensland and cloudy weather continues to dominate, with showers towards the north and thunderstorms in Longreach. On Moreton Bay, winds will be 10 to 15 knots, mainly from the southeast, with seas at less than a metre. Low tide at the Brisbane Bar is due shortly after midnight, building to high water by 6:11. Outside the bay, southeast to easterly winds should reach a top of 15 knots, seas to 1.2 metres, and the sun will rise just before 5 o'clock. Similar outlooks for both coasts, with scattered showers and temperatures to reach 25 degrees. Winds will be light to moderate, with seas to 1.2 metres. The short-term outlook for Brisbane, showers are expected tomorrow, but clouds will begin to clear by Saturday, with temperatures around 25 degrees. And looking further ahead, Brisbane can expect a return to fine conditions and warmer temperatures, with a top of 31 degrees by midweek. That's the latest weather. Back to you, Alana. Sea levels will rise to alarming new heights, placing Australian coastal properties in dangerous waters, according to a parliamentary inquiry. City councils across the country may have to relocate people from their homes if oceans rise as predicted. Former Serb leader Radovan Karadzic failed to appear in court yesterday for the opening of his genocide trial. The judge adjourned proceedings after only 20 minutes, ordering Karadzic to attend the war crimes court in The Hague. The 78 Sri Lankans on board the Australian customs vessel moored in Indonesian waters still aren't going anywhere. As the asylum seekers spend their 12th day on board the Oceanic Viking, the government is under increasing pressure to resolve the impasse. Cloudy conditions to last into the weekend. The weather details are next.
And Brisbane braces for monster truck mayhem.
Peter Taylor, QUT News. Oh, whoops.
Looks like he needs a little bit more practice. That's all the news we have for tonight.
We'll be back tomorrow night with more QUT News. Good night.
Good night.
Looking again at our main story, commuters brace for 4 months of major traffic delays as Hale Street construction gears up from Sunday.
And still to come, European leaders are divided over ways to combat climate change. The influx of illegal immigrants across Europe has decreased by 20%. Tougher border controls and the economic crisis being the main contributors to this trend. McDonald's restaurants in Iceland will be shut down because it's just too expensive. In wake of the country's financial crisis, the world's largest fast food company says it can no longer afford to be there.
That's all the news we have for tonight and indeed for this week.
We'll be back on Monday night with more QUT news. Good night.
Good night.